What's good, y'all? Welcome back. Today we're gonna be reacting to something sad. At least that's what it says. Tragic story collection by, Snarled, of course. This one's gonna be a two-parter because it is 20 minutes long, and I think this one has two different stories. So we're gonna react to the first story, and then the part two we're gonna react to the second story. Original video link will be down in the description. I almost said my outro. Let's get into the video.
Hey, I'm Sapphire. Want to hear something scary?
Hopefully I'm not blocking anything too much.
During a very cold winter when Kay was 8 years old, she developed a very serious chest infection that hospitalized her. She was constantly coughing and struggling to breathe, so the nurses advised her parents to leave her at the hospital for a few days. The walls of the children's ward were covered in happy cartoon characters, which made the rooms feel warm, despite the sterile smell. At the end of the ward, there was a single room with windows looking out into the ward. Inside was a small girl in a pink nightshirt and pajama bottoms, with no hair and a drip hooked up to her small, thin arm. That's Amy. She's been here for quite a while. The next day, it was playtime after lunch. Kay pulled out some comic books that she had brought with her and caught a glimpse of Amy through her window. She waved the book to her, and Amy nodded vigorously and motioned for her to come in. "Can I go in her room?" Kay asked her nurse. "Of course. That's very sweet of you. Most of the other children won't go near her." Kay entered Amy's room.
The next question should have probably been why.
Great friends. Amy loved to sing, and they made up silly dances to some of her made-up songs. The day flew by, and it was time for lights out. "We're going to have even more fun tomorrow," Kay told Amy before heading back to her bed. Later that night, Kay was awoken by a small hand shaking her shoulder gently. She opened her eyes to find Amy, standing beside her bed. "I need to go outside. Will you help me?" Kay looked around the ward. There was no one else there. No kids, no nurses, just her and Amy. Before Kay could make sense of what was going on, Amy took her hand and they walked slowly down the hallway. The entire hospital was empty. Where was everybody? The clocks along the walls seemed to be ticking much slower than usual. What are they doing?
See, if this was a movie,
too scared to go on my own.
This is where some crazy bitch pop out and try to kill him.
You were nice to me. After what seemed like hours, Kay and Amy finally reached the main entrance, and Amy let go of her hand. "Should I come too?" Amy shook her head. "It's my turn. You have to wait for your turn." Thinking it was a game, Kay asked if it would be her turn when she came back inside. Amy shook her head again, sadly. "Are we still going to play together tomorrow?" "I don't know. You have to go back now." "I'm not going back without you. I don't want you to get in trouble." "You have to go back. Can't stay."
Yo, I would have been like, what are you on?
For a brief moment, Kay turned around to look towards the corridor they came from. It looked so much darker than before. She turned back towards the entrance, but Amy was nowhere to be seen. Realizing she had no other choice, Kay made her way back to her bed. She noticed that all the clocks seemed to be stuck at 3:35 a.m.
Never gonna lie, I got
goosebumps. As she climbed back into her bed, Kay glanced over at Amy's empty room. What was she going to tell the doctors, the nurses, her family? The next morning, Kay awoke to the nurse clapping her hands to wake everyone up for breakfast. Kay looked over at Amy's room. The curtains had been drawn. As Kay ate her breakfast, Amy's parents came rushing in and she overheard the nurses speaking to them. "What time did we lose her?" 3:36 a.m.
Oh, hell no.
Thanks for agreeing to this, Sarah. Are you comfortable?
Yes, I am.
Okay, why don't we start with how you're feeling right now?
Okay, I guess it's three stories.
Just like every other day. It never gets easier.
I understand.
Fuck it, that was short. We'll do two in this one.
It's tough. Why don't you take some deep breaths and let's start at the beginning, okay? Is that okay with you? Let's start with Tom.
All right. What can I say about Tom? I really miss him, God, I really do. It's the little things, like when I'd pull some clothes from the wardrobe and his cologne would still linger there. Luke was the only thing that kept me going.
Luke's your son, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was about a year after we had him that we found out that Tom had cancer. He hadn't been feeling well, but he had been putting off seeing a doctor. There was just so much to do in those early years, starting a new life together. The doctors said if only he saw them sooner, they may have detected the cancer earlier. Then it may not have spread. Then it may have been operable. Then he might still be alive. It was hard seeing him waste away. He was so sure that Luke was going to be a sports star like his dad. He couldn't wait for Luke to be old enough for them to throw a ball around in the yard together. By the time Luke was old enough, though, Tom was already too weak to even lift a ball, let alone go outside. He would just lie in bed all day, too exhausted and weak to do anything. Instead of playing sports together, they played pen and paper games. Luke really loved playing Hangman, though. He loved guessing letters at silly words or phrases his father would come up with. And he really loved drawing that little Hangman figure. He drew that a lot. He was terrible at the game, but it didn't matter. All that mattered was his dad loved playing with him too. I would sometimes find them both asleep in bed, covered in paper. Tom would get tired easily and had this habit of dozing off. But rather than wake his dad, Luke would decide it was his nap time too. He'd crawl right next to Tom and fall asleep hugging him. That day came when Luke woke up, but Tom didn't. When I found them both, he was holding on to Tom, hugging him tightly. He was crying and pleading with his dad not to go. "I love you, Dad. Please don't go. We still haven't finished our game yet," he cried.
Man, this shit is
And
sad.
how did Luke handle everything afterward?
He became very quiet and sullen, kept holding on to that paper pad and wouldn't let it go. I once asked him if he'd feel better if we played Hangman like he used to with Tom. He just shook his head. To him, it didn't feel right for anyone else to finish it.
But that changed, right? Your report said...
Yes, it changed. About 4 months after Tom's death. Luke bounced back to normal. I just thought it was because children are more resilient, you know? I was cleaning his room one day and found his notepad. I flipped to the last page with that unfinished Hangman game. Except he had completed it now. And it wasn't the last game anymore. There were dozens of pages filled with new games of Hangman. When Luke got home from school, I asked him about it. He was a bit angry and a bit scared, but he eventually said he'd tell me if I promised not to get mad or punish him.
So...
This nigga play within a Ouija board, huh?
His best friend at school had seen how sad Luke was about the death of his father, so he gave him a Ouija board. He told Luke it was for speaking with the dead, so now he could talk with his dad.
Fuck.
Luke told me he had been using it and has been playing Hangman with his dad ever since.
How did you react to that?
I didn't know what to think at first. I was skeptical, shocked, horrified, all at once. Part of my mind was flashing warning lights saying it's dangerous to be playing with spiritual forces we don't understand.
Fuck it is.
Another part was saying it's complete horseshit. But all that noise was drowned out by the only question I really cared about. Did it work? I was desperate. I wanted to talk to Tom again so badly. I would have given anything for a chance. So after Luke had gone to sleep, I took out the Ouija board and set it on the dining table.
Man,
I
once I'm
placed
dead,
my
I'm
finger
dead.
on the
Leave me
glass ring
alone.
and waited.
Don't try to
I
contact me.
whispered, "Are you there, Tom? Please let me know if you're there." Nothing at first. Then the ring started to move. It moved to the hello in the corner. I gasped and let go of the ring. I must have just sat and stared at that thing for like an hour as if it was possessed. Well, I guess it was, kinda. I placed my finger on it again. I asked, "Is that you, Tom?" The ring edged up to the yes in the corner. Where did I get the scar at the back of my head? The scar was hidden under my hair. No one except Tom even knew about the accident that created it. VENICE. My eyes were so wet with tears. The impossible was happening. It was Tom, and we were talking. I told him I loved him and missed him so much.
Something's not right.
My finger was still on the ring as it started moving. NOTMUCHTIME. What did he mean? Was he trying to say we didn't have enough time together before he died? Or that he doesn't have much time before he needs to go again? "No, you left us too soon. Luke misses you too," I said.
Look after
LOOKAFTERLUKE.
Luke.
I am, and I will. It's been so hard without you here, you know? Or are you saying you've been looking after him?
I don't like this
Because
shit, bro.
he
This
says
shit
you've
creepy.
been playing Hangman with him. I waited for a response, but the ring didn't move. I waited and waited, but it didn't respond to any more questions that night. Eventually, I went to bed. But you know what? For the first time for as long as I could remember, I was actually smiling. It may only have been a few words, but to me, it was everything.
Did you try to contact Tom again?
Of course I did. Every day I could. It was my obsession. I am ALWAYSHERE. We talked about Luke and how he was doing in school. We talked about our honeymoon. We talked about the dates we used to go on together. FORYO.
That just seemed too tedious to me, man.
Everything.
I gotta
It
put
was
in every
sometimes
letter.
surreal. Sometimes it was even passionate. There's some funny ones, you know. He once even spelled out,
I watch you shower.
Another time I told him that I didn't want to go to sleep because the bed seemed empty without him.
I lie beside you when you sleep.
That's
almost enough to
creepy
make
as
me go to
fuck.
Can we talk about what happened that day you found Luke in his room?
Oh, that. Yeah, I guess. That's what this is really all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why you're here?
Yeah, where's the creepy shit?
I figured we'd get to this part
Cause I'm
eventually.
pretty sure it gets worse.
Too hard to talk about.
It's fine. I've gone through it 1,000 times before with the police. What's one more? Like I said, I'm numb now. It's still a blur, really. I had finished making dinner and called for Luke to come down. He usually yells back to me to tell me he's coming, but he didn't respond that day. I eventually tired of yelling and went to his room to get him. He was lying face down on the floor. His neck was twisted at an odd angle and his eyes were staring blankly.
Oh shit!
Near one hand was his pad and pen.
Bro,
and
what the
a band
fuck?
cursed Ouija board near his other. I just kept screaming his name over and over, hoping he could hear me.
Bro,
I just held him in my arms. My
I got
baby.
goosebumps.
My poor precious baby.
What had happened to him?
I was hugging him tight and kissing him.
Nigga fucking
I
murdered by a
refused to let him
demon.
go. Not after losing Tom. I couldn't lose Luke too. My eyes landed on the pad he was scribbling on. He had been playing Hangman again.
You were never alone. I am the Hangman.
What
I
the
had a sickening
fuck?
realization that it may not have just been Tom that I had been communicating
That
with.
is
You were
sick.
warned.
At least not after that first night. A sharp chill began stabbing at my heart. The last game at the bottom. A completed drawing of the Hangman figure scrawled beside it.
Now you are too
It's the
late.
last thing I remember. Inside, I'm still screaming, you know? I don't think it will ever end.
Bro, Sarah's currently serving a life sentence for the murder of her son Luke. She did not consent. Whoa, 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 whoa. She did not contest the guilty verdict and has no plans to. Damn, son, that shit's crazy. She doing life and she ain't even do it? Nigga, kill me. Fuck that. Give me the death penalty. I ain't serving no life in jail. Just kill me now. Because I'm going to die one way or another. But alright, y'all. That's the end of this reaction. We're going to end it here and do the part 2 next Friday. I'm just trying to space it out so it's not too much scary stuff like, you know, back to back. If you guys enjoyed the reaction, let me know down in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next Friday. Well, for the spooky stuff. I love y'all. Peace.
I'ma pull up in that new thing.